Hello, welcome to another episode of Off the Shelf with Dr. Hanks. That's me. And as promised today, we are going back to The Speed of Trust, a book that we started last week by Stephen Covey. It's called The Speed of Trust, the one thing that changes everything. And it was published in 2006. It is packed with great insight and great wisdom and action plans. Highly recommend the book. He breaks down, and we talked about this a little bit last week. He breaks down the topic of trust into some different layers. You have or levels. You have self trust, relationship trust, organizational trust, market trust, and societal trust. So we're going to focus today just on maybe the first two or three: self-trust, relationship, and organizational. Actually, and so the four core components of self-trust, we introduced these last week. You have integrity, which means that you walk your own talk. You are in alignment with what you say, what you do. You have strong integrity. Intention is, what are your underlying motives? Are they transparent? It's a capabilities, your current capabilities. What are you actually able to do? And results. What is your track record? What has your performance been? Can you back it up? So now, when he talks about the relationships, which would be, so this is not necessarily your self-trust, but other people. He goes into like 13 different behaviors and really fleshes that out. And I think that's a little overkill, and it is particularly for this conversation. So what I'm going to throw in is my 2 cents worth. I think the same four core factors that we just looked at for self-trust can also be used to look at our relationship trust. One and the same are the people. So yes, I want to make sure that I'm walking with integrity and that my intentions are clear and transparent. And when I'm working with other people, I'm going to expect the same thing. So let's just say, for simplicity, that we would expect the same from other people as we do ourselves. And if there's a mismatch there, that could be an issue. But what he does bring up that I really like is that you can think of trust as kind of like a bank account, or an account where your actions and the things you say and do, we make these deposits into like this trust account. And when you do good, when you follow through, when you would make positive deposits as you build trust and become trustworthy, or show that you're trustworthy. And then the withdrawals are the mistakes. People make mistakes. Life is hard. Life gets in the way. And I will tell you, from a decision scientist standpoint, because that was, I've studied decision sciences a lot as part of my own education journey. And it is amazing to see how many decisions we make that we think that hundreds and hundreds of studies have been done. You think you're being the most logical, rational person in the room, but when they stack things up and put it all together into a bigger picture, you realize that you did not make the best decision. Our brain is wired to, I think there's a book, we are predictably irrational. There it is. We are predictably irrational. Because of the way our brain is wired, we will often make decisions that do not add up to be rational after you look at all of the different components. Does that make you wrong? No, it doesn't. It makes you human. Do we make mistakes? Yes. Does life get in the way and alter the course of our best laid intentions? Yes. The goal would be is if you have an account, if we have a trust account, like he's described it, you have more deposits than you do withdrawals, and that balances out. And then you have people, who are have demonstrated unworthiness or untrustworthiness, and they take out and take and take and take and take, and they may put in one deposit of something they did that was trustworthy, and then the rest of it they just take, and that's not cool either. So that's how we look at it, and I think that's a pretty decent starting point for how you would view trusting yourself, trusting in others. You have these characteristics that you would want to build and to build your trustworthiness, and you have an account, let's say an invisible account where you make deposits, and your relationships with others make deposits or withdrawals based on whatever happens. And when something happens, it's okay to say, look, I get it. Just because someone made a mistake or something didn't work out, that doesn't mean they're not trustworthy. The thing that I want to get to quickly, and I'm trying really hard, this is a big topic to keep under 13 minutes, is what he calls smart trust. Because what he does is he breaks this down, and I really like this. He says, what is your tendency toward giving or feeling trust or extending trust, let's say? Some people have a high level of trustworthiness, or they will they are inclined to trust everyone. We all know people who are inclined to trust everyone. They question no one. And then you have this high or low, what is your propensity, he calls it, a high or low propensity to extend trust to others. And what is your tendency to actually analyze and consider what the evidence shows? What evidence do you have to extend this trust? And so if you have high and low tendencies to extend trust with or without evidence, and he puts this into a framework, and where you'll understand this. If you trust everyone and you have a low tendency of analyzing any evidence or any of that, then you're gullible. People can tell you anything and you will believe it, and you're gullible. If you don't extend trust to people very easily, you don't trust people generally speaking, and you have a high degree of analytical mindset, then that's where the suspicion comes in, because you're not going to trust anybody anyway, and you're analytical, and because of the way our brains are wired, we will see and find evidence that agrees with us. That's been studied and proven over and over again. So as an untrusting analytical person, you will naturally be more suspicious of everything and everybody. Now, where we want to be is we want to have a high level or a high tendency of extending trust, because trust is a healthy, it makes us feel safe, makes us feel confident. So we want to be able to extend trust. So we want that to be high, but we also want our analytical side, our evidence, to be high as well. So when both are high, then you're able to make good judgments. And we don't mean judgmental in a bad way, like somebody looking down at you. What we mean is that is the baseline for making good judgments, when you can trust people or not trust them based on the evidence that you have. And the story that he shares that I wanted to real quickly bring up is the story he shares is about a chairman and a president of a company. So the chairman was the founder. He was chairman of the board of directors, and the president was the president of the company that did the daily operations. Now, they had an excellent working relationship. They thought they did. The chairman thought that he had the best person in charge. And what he discovered somehow was that the president had been working on basically a coup of some sort to try to oust the chairman to get someone else in there. Now, the chairman, being the founder of the organization, of course he's not going to like that, and he makes some strategic changes in the organization. He gets lets go of the president, restructures, makes some changes, and moves on. Now, a lot of this has to do with a level of forgiveness and, having healthy relationships and how you deal with things. So over the course of time, they were able to work through, talk about it, what actually happened, what was said, what wasn't said, what was implied. And they got to a point of forgiveness, and we became, friends again and all of that. Well, the former president, at one point in the future had an idea for a business. And he goes to the chairman and talks to him about this business idea. Well, the chairman says, look, I have forgiven you for what you did. I would serve as a committee member on a board that you were the chairman of. I would serve as the chairman on a board that you're a committee member of. I would do all of these things, but I choose not to go into business with you. I'm not going into business with you again. I'm not going to do that. So the whole smart trust thing is that, yes, we want to, we have these trust accounts, and we want to make deposits and minimize the withdrawals that we have to take. And when we're dealing with other people, there are times where we have to discern between, did they make a mistake? Are they not capable of this? What does the evidence show? And we extend our trust based on that. If someone damages our trust or has to make a big withdrawal, like let's think about a different bank account withdrawals. If somebody makes a mistake, are we talking about you taking $1 out of their bank account or $1,000 out of the bank account? So depending on the complexity of the mistake or the transaction, you have to decide then, and you have to separate what are your feelings and how are you going to interact with someone on a regular basis. And you've got to stay healthy yourself, mentally healthy, and forgive and all of that. But now you have a baseline for future decisions, and you're not going to go into business with this person again because they have demonstrated that they cannot be trusted in some way. So I think with our relationships and people in general, ourselves and our relationships with people, we have to have some construct to support when we trust people, when we don't. And if we have determined that we cannot trust ourselves, then looking at what is the basis for that lack of trust? Is it our past practice, our performance record? Then And if that's the case, then let's change that. Then let's look at, okay, what could we do? What do we feel confident that we could do to improve the chances of success? What can we do to change the way we view our relationship with this person and build trust in the areas that we have confidence that they can achieve or sustain? So it's like I said in a video, I think several weeks ago. When you care, like for example, when you care about something, let's say in an organization, you care about something deeply, and you're the person who is always calling out the deficiencies because you care. Well, eventually you might become the person who is viewed as the problem, because all you ever hear out of you is all they ever hear out of you is all of the problems. And it's not that you're just trying to be problematic. You're saying those things because you care. At that point, you have to learn to care differently. And at this point, sometimes you have to learn to trust differently. And if you, whether it's with yourself and you want to improve your trust factor with yourself, learn to trust differently. What exactly is it within this context that is causing you trouble? If you have relationships where you really wish that you could have more trust in the relationship, and you could have a healthier relationship, then maybe you have to learn to trust differently. Maybe you learn, like the chairman of the board, that you can be friends with someone, you can do for someone, you can sure you love them, you can be there for them when they need you, but do you hand them, do you hand over trust on certain topics or certain conditions or situations? No. It's not an all or nothing. You get to decide. You get to choose. So that's a lot. This was another long video today. Hopefully I can get to a point of breaking these down to make them shorter, little snippets. But at any rate, that is the topic of trust, and it's a big topic because it influences so much of what we do every day and so much of what we think of the people around us and how we interact. So hopefully you found that helpful, and we'll be back again next week. Bye.